So today we're actually going to talk about FastFlash in detail. Funny to say detail, it is our detailing membrane. FastFlash is the product that's used on all your rough openings, your transitions, any kind of penetrations, through walls, transition membrane. When in doubt, use FastFlash. It's a very universal product. It can be used in most detailing situations. Pretty simple product to use. It comes in gun grade and roller grade. When you first start a rough opening, you want to do your best to strike the corners. Run a little bead of gun grade into the corner, strike it. The main purpose is to create a 45 instead of 90. So when running through your rough opening with FastFlash, general rule of thumb is start at the header. You want to run your sealant in the serpentine fashion in the overhead, and then again on the facade, on the face of the boards. You run the serpentine shape, and then you strike it with your Bondo knife. And again, any excess material you're going to use wherever needed elsewhere. And you want to start at the header, run down the two jambs, and then hit the sill at the end. The product FastFlash is meant to be applied 12 to 15 mil thick. It's a thin mill air barrier system. All of our products are thin mill. You want to use the product in your rough openings. That's our main focus on most buildings. We require 4 inches on the exterior face of a rough opening, and then minimum 1 inch past the window on the interior of the rough opening. A lot of specifiers prefer to just say run it the entire way through on the interior of the rough opening. Makes it a little simpler to use and less room for error. So another key area that you'd be using the FastFlash on most jobs is your nail heads, screw heads, any kind of surface imperfection. If you're using plywood, sometimes there's little splinters that pop out. Get rid of whatever's hanging off the wall and smooth it out. Hit it with a smear of FastFlash. So another key application that you run into with FastFlash is your board joints. Wherever you have 2 substrate boards, whether it be gypsum, plywood, OSB, where they meet, that is a joint you need to treat. So you would run a bead of the gun grade FastFlash across the joint and strike it with a Bondo knife. Again, the Bondo knife, nice, simple, low-cost tool. And when you strike it, you'll have excess material on the knife that you could just use on nail heads, screw heads, any board deficiencies. And you just want to the key factor on a seam is you want to make sure you have at least 1 inch on both sides of the FastFlash. The FastFlash is good for board joints up to 1/4 inch without any issue. So it could really be useful in a lot of your joint applications. So when you have a penetration that you have to seal, you want to use the FastFlash gun grade. It's the easiest product to use. And when you have any gaps like that, you really should be using the gun grade. You'd run a bead of the gun grade around the penetration. Use, again, your chip brush or Bondo knife and just run minimum 1 inch on the face of the substrate. And then if you can, run minimum 1 inch on the penetration, the through pen itself, whether that be a pipe or any other kind of trades conduit that's running through the wall. You want to try to get at least 1 inch on both sides. In addition to the gun grade FastFlash, we also offer a roller grade FastFlash. After you've treated your rough opening, corners, any joints and seams that might happen to end in the rough opening with the gun grade, you can come back and roll on the roller grade. So let's talk cure times. STP technology, because it's a moisture cure technology, it likes heat and it likes humidity. The higher the humidity, the quicker it'll cure. Most of the time, in a high heat and high humidity area, you can move on within about a half an hour. The trick is you just got to make sure it doesn't transfer. It will stay tacky, but as long as it doesn't transfer, you're ready to move on. So now that you know how to use FastFlash and you've completed all of your detail work, you're ready to move on to the air barrier.